So today I want to talk about how you can avoid those incredibly unproductive days that we invariably have from time to time. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason for why it happens, but try this little hack. It might just change the way you work and avoid those unproductive days. So if that resonates with you, keep on watching, keep on listening. Welcome back to consecutive day 1835 of the Diary of a Runpreneur. And today's episode is all about how to avoid those incredibly unproductive days where we just procrastinate for whatever reason. We just can't seem to get going. And there's a little hack on how you can overcome this. But before we get into that, please don't forget that this vlog is part of a fundraiser of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra-marathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style. And the more people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. So back to the topic at hand, how to avoid those incredibly unproductive days. So usually when I'm doing these episodes, this vlog is like my diary, so there's normally something that's kind of happened in my life which triggers each episode. And for this one today, it's primarily because unproductive days used to constantly get me. And I suffer with ADHD, or thrive with ADHD, however you want to look at it. It's like a superpower when it's working for you, and it can be so disabling when it works against you. And over the years, I've kind of started to understood a little bit more about how I operate and how I can kind of try and capitalize on the positive aspects of it and reduce the negative aspects of it. Well, one of the things that ADHD kind of sufferers have is that they can procrastinate or get distracted incredibly easy, struggle to get like the important stuff done. And I'm no different in that regard. And especially when I have a plan or a schedule that I've set and then something goes awry early on and it disrupts the whole plan. Well, that can literally just cause me to freeze within my tracks so that I can't kind of proceed. And I don't know, sometimes it could be that, or sometimes it can be we're just not feeling it. There can be so many reasons why we can be really unproductive at times. But recently, I've kind of changed the way I work. And I should have done this a long time ago because I've known about this for a long, long time, but I've never really put it into operation until recently. So the example I want to give you is I have to do sales calls for my business at the moment. It's one of my businesses is very much at its infancy, and I've systemized and outsourced a lot of kind of the aspects of the business, but generally the kind of leadership stuff and the sales is the last thing that I'll outsource until the business is kind of producing consistent and stable revenue streams. Now, people book into my diary for these sales calls based on the advertisements that we run. And historically, when I first started doing this, they would basically go anytime throughout the kind of my day, linked to my availability. So obviously the calendars are synced so it can see where my available slots are. But it would book in at any time there was a free slot between kind of the hours of 9 and possibly 4 p.m. And that all sounds good and well. But the problem is for me, if I've got a schedule and I've got somebody booked in for a sales call, well, when you book sales calls in from kind of online ads, the reality is the sharp rate can be as low as 40, 50%. So quite often you drop everything ready to do a sales call and then people don't show up. Well, for an ADHD, someone who's got ADHD, when my plan is structured and that sales call is meant to happen at that time and then somebody doesn't show, that can completely disrupt my flow to the extent that I then kind of down tools and don't feel like working. It's just the way I operate, and that's for me, but there's going to be 1,001 other reasons why other people are unproductive. So how do you counteract this? That's what this vlog is about. Well, first and foremost, this is based on the principles of Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. And he talks about having an executive assistant managing your calendar and identifying what your perfect week looks like. Now, my perfect week, and what I mean by my perfect week is about capitalising on when your energy levels are high, when you're at your most productive. Now, if you measure and monitor this, you'll start to realise when you're more likely to get into really productive, deep work you can focus on the kind of highest impact based work when you're at your highest energy levels. And I know for me that between the hours of 9 and 11, I'm super productive. So I need to capitalize on that time. I also know that between the hours of kind of 1 and 3, I'm incredibly unproductive. I've had lunch and I have an energy lull. So there are certain things I know about how my energy kind of highs and lows goes, that between 3 and 5, I can be incredibly productive again. And then in certain instances, between the hours of 10 p.m. and midnight, I can be super productive again. It's just how my energy flows up and down. Now, the secret is if I put a sales call within one of my high energy levels and it doesn't turn up, then I've wasted that period of my high energy levels where I can get some really good productive work done. And that's kind of what was happening. I was getting calls booked in between 9 and 11. They weren't going ahead. And then before you know it, I've written off that period where I'd normally be productive because I'm annoyed that someone hasn't turned up or my plan hasn't gone to schedule. And then I'm into lunch, I have lunch, I then have an energy lull anyway. So before you know it, it's kind of 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I've had very little done. So what I've done is I've moved my diary around now, because I also know that when my energy levels are low, that's the time where sales calls are really good, because conversations and interactions with people is quite a good way of lifting you out of a lull. I've found that anyway. I also find coming out and getting exercise, and it's 7:55 at the moment in the evening, and this is my time when I'm normally at a lull. So again, a great time to come and run because it lifts me up. So what I've done is I've basically moved my calendar around now. So between 9 and 11 in the mornings, sales call can't be booked in there because that's my high productive time. Also between 1 and 3 is time that I focus on, 1 and 3, 3 and 5 is my high productivity in the afternoon. I don't have sales call booked in then. So sales calls can only be booked in between 11 and 3 each day. And by that, it means that when things don't go wrong, the only time I'm going to lose is my lull time, which is acceptable. As long as I can capitalise on my high energy spikes throughout the day, I'll always ensure that I get some kind of production done in my day. And in Dan Martell's book, you were talking about the top right-hand quadrant in how tasks are kind of categorised, and that's production, which is high impact, high energy. The more time you spend in that quadrant, the more successful, the more productive, the more progress you're going to make. So the learnings from my diary for today are that unproductivity is common with so many people. Procrastination is common with so many people. And I'm not saying you'll ever eliminate it, because I don't think it's humanly possible to eliminate it entirely. But if you control when it happens, you can ensure that even kind of days that don't go to plan are still productive. And that's huge. You think of the compounding effect of that over the course of time. If when you'd usually have an unproductive day, you've now turned it into a productive one. Think of how different that's going to look over a period of time in terms of progress you make. It'll be huge, and the compounding effects of that. So the secret here is understand when your high energy levels are and your low energy levels. We call it biological prime time. So when your biological prime time is at its peak, ring fence those hours and use them to capitalise on production work, high energy, high impact work. Okay, make that sacred. Within your low energy level, lull times, that's when other stuff can kind of be booked in, because if it doesn't go to plan, then it's not going to have an impact on your high energy, high biological prime time times. And that's the key. If you protect those and ensure that you focus on the highest impact stuff with when you've got the highest energy, you can make an unproductive day into an absolutely productive one. And that is game changing over the course of time. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, any questions or comments, drop me a line. I'll respond to all anything relevant. Do remember though, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra marathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, a distance of a lap of the world, barefoot style, and do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. More people we get in front of, more money we raise, more children's lives we save, which is why I do this every single day. Thank you as always. Stay positive, stay happy. I'll see you again tomorrow.